हरि ओम स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे त्रयो स्थित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिनेतापहारणे। Values in education, socio-culture for propriety of mind, propriety of mind. Dr. K. Subramaniam, Sri Ramakrishna Tapovanam. Tirupparai, Tiruchirappalli district. Tiruchirappalli district. Content of this book: kindness, duty, discipline, character, service. These are the 5 contents of the book. This book. The first one, kindness. We are all, first of all, human beings. We are all first of all human beings. So we are to be humane, kind. Mankind should therefore be humankind. Cruelty is the mark of the demon. Compassion is the quality of the divine. Kindness is inborn in the human. As man evolves, his intrinsic kindness also unfolds itself to blossom as compassion and grace, the traits of the god. Siddhartha and Devadatta were cousins. One evening, they were walking about in the royal garden in 2 different paths with 2 different purposes. Both were human beings with throbbing hearts. Although they both belonged to the same royal family, their hearts were not of the same tenderness. While Siddhartha was an embodiment of love, with a kind heart, courteous voice, and helping hand, Devadatta was hard at heart, harsh in speech, and harmful in deeds. The evening was pleasant and bracing, with cool breeze and soft light. Soon the sky was overcast with the thick dark clouds. Wind was becoming vigorous. It was about to rain heavily. Against the background of the black clouds, there were white cranes flying to the abouts. Both the cousins from different angles looked at the rushing birds. The clouds were ready to shower. Birds were rushing for shelter. Siddhartha was anxious about their safety. He was praying to the clouds to withhold their rain till the cranes reached their places of safety. Devadatta, meanwhile, was busy with his bow and arrow to shoot down the birds. Neither the scenic beauty nor the birds' safety was of any interest to the hunting friends. While the kind-hearted Siddhartha was prayerfully watching the sky, there appeared a sharp arrow like a meteor on one of the innocent creatures. The very next moment, it fell at the feet of the kind-hearted prince, Siddhartha. It was struggling for life. The wounded bird moved Siddhartha's heart with pity. Instantly, 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 the bird was gently taken into his arms. The arrow was taken out, and the bleeding was stopped with a few medicinal herbs available nearby. Keeping it close to his heart, the loving prince cast it with the warmth of the affection. When the Savior and the saved had heaved a sigh of relief, they arrived on the scene the cruel prince Devadatta with his bow and arrows to claim the prey of his hunt. Since he had shot the bird down, it should rightfully belong to him. Devadatta demanded, but Siddhartha had saved it. Therefore, it should go to the him. Argued the noble prince. There ensued a dispute between the two cousins. The matter was taken to the court of law. After a long legal battle, the judge gave his verdict conferring the ownership of the bird on the person who saved its life. It is easier to slay than to save. Slay than to save. In no time, we can wound a person with weapons or words, but it takes a long time to heal the wounds. It is easy to destroy, but difficulty to build, easy to break and tear, but difficulty to unite and make. Only the Savior, the Maker, and the Builder, or the Healer, there. Only the Savior, the Maker, and the Builder, or the Healer, therefore, has every legitimate right to the own. The killer has no right to kill, nor can he on that is killed. Only those who serve and save can own those who are served and saved. And the ownership is but a trusteeship. The two until the creature or the person is fit enough to be free. Moreover, the owner ceases to own. The moment he tries to use the object or the person for his gratification, Siddhartha nursed the wounded bird until it regained its full health and vigor. When the bird was strong enough to be independent, it was set free to fly and live as it is pleased. As it is pleased. Kindness, the kindness which Siddhartha had is a common trait of mankind. It is the natural, fundamental, and normal quality of all human beings. But in some, it is fostered to the full bloom. In some, it is made to remain dormant. and in some it is almost crushed to extinction, and amidst the wild growth thorns of a cruelty. As man evolves, his intrinsic kindness also unfolds itself as a grace and compassion, the traits of the divine. The growth or the unfolded is to be properly guarded and guided to prevent the negativity and perversity. The flower of human heart is to be well and protected and fostered from its infant state of the silent kindness to its full grown state of all the expansive grace through loving service. It is only an affectionate heart that takes us to heights of the perfection and divinity. When and where we find the happiness in the happiness of all feelings. Feelings governs our lives more intensively than reason does. Very often reason is but the handmaid employed only to fulfill the wishes of heart. The whole fabric of the society is interwoven with the feelings. They are the binding sentiment of the love to bring the people together into a family, society, or country. It is the feelings of humanness that keeps all the people under the umbrella of mankind. Unfortunately, sometimes for want of the sufficient life, for the wants of the sufficient love, there are misunderstandings and even wars. The reason in love, when the pure can't afford to allow the separatism, segregation, or the dissension. Normally, human beings do have. Normally, human beings do have the kindness, and its warm voice of the concern is ever audible in every throbbing heart. Involuntarily, we express our sorrow and concern when we read in the newspapers the havoc wrought by the storms and floods, fire, or earthquake. The death toll in accidents will cause alarm in every human heart. Although every one of us may not rush to the rescue operations, we will be sympathetic towards those affected in the calamities. Very rarely do we come across a person who feels happy about the loss of lives in accidents. We find in our hearts beat and sympathetic vibrations in response to anything sorrowful in society. Hurt, though mute, it assures to see a shed tears for the suffering of all unknown beings. It is this symbiotic relations when grown to its full expansion and expression becomes in the heart of the Buddha, who cannot bear to see anyone suffers anywhere at any time. Bimbisara. Bimbisara was a great king in India once upon a time. In accordance with the prevalent faith and traditions of his times, he was performing a great sacrifice for the welfare of his people in the country. Animal sacrifice was a common and the sacred rituals performed by almost every day long ago to please the invisible deities. That is, lambs and buffaloes, horses, and sometimes even human beings were done to death in the name of the sacrifice. For the greatest sacrifice proposed by the king Bimbisara, many a lamb from the nearby the villages was being driven to the death to the sacrificial altar. Siddhartha, the noble prince of the compassion, happened to see the large number of sheep on their way to capital purpose of the being killed. A small lamb of the tender age was unable to walk, and particularly attached to the attention of the fierce prince of Siddhartha. It was bleating, unable to put up with the strain of the long journey. It appears to be imploring the Buddha to save it from the save it from the ordeal. And the Buddha did immediately respond to its request. His heart began to melt with pity and his eyes were full with tears. His hands instantaneously stretched out in action to offer the needed protection to the poor creature. The small lamb was lifted and was now cosily settled in the affectionate arms of the prince. The Buddha also walked along with the lambs and reached the place of the sacrifice. There, the priests were waiting for the poor animals. In rituals, the innocent creatures were to be killed. Keeping the lambs at a distance of Siddhartha alone went to the presence of the priest. He requested them to stop the slaughter. He told them that it was unjust to kill the mute animals in the name of the religious faith, which was not well founded. There ensued the argument between the prince and the priest. Prince Siddhartha reversed the priest. May I know why you resort the cruel practice of the culling animals? Priest, the heavenly being will be happy with the oblation of the offered by us with the sacrifice of the lambs. The animals too would go to heaven, and the gods, and pleased with our devotion and the offering would do us the good. In turn, in the form of the timely rains, harvest, long and happy life, and so on. Siddhartha, I'm sorry. Dear priest, to point out that this faith of the yours is baseless. Also, you mean to say that the gods are mere tradesmen who need a priest of their service, or they are corrupt beings. They are corrupt beings to demand a bribe for the help they render to the people. Remember, the service ceases to be service if it is done for the something in return, nor it is help if it is seeks any reward by sacrificing the animals in the name of God. You are only the tarnishing the image of the God, spoiling the very concept of the God. God is love. Love shines in unselfish service. God is no good. God is no God if he demands a price that two treasures animal sacrifice. You may say that it is your gratefulness to God that prompts you to make an offering of this type of only out of your devotion. Then I wonder why you choose the innocent creatures of the offering. You can offer the yourself as an oblation. I mean to say, you offer your pure hearts in the service of humanity. But God resides in all the else. There are many wild and cruel animals such as tigers and wolves and scorpions and cobras and lions causing menaces to the many innocent lives. You may catch them and kill them and offer them and sacrifice oblations to gods. I know you cannot do that because you are scared of those animals. Even if you are not afraid, you cannot afford to spend your time and energy to trap them, bring them, and slay them. Even if you can do that, you do not want to do that because you do not relish their flesh. You are fond of goat goat's flesh. Therefore, you want to kill the herbivorous creatures, concealing your appetite for them. Why do you? Why do you like hypocrites bring God into the picture? Hypocrites brought into picture. God does not need your animal sacrifice. The real animal sacrifice is the killing of the animalness in us. The real animal sacrifice is the killing of animalness in us. You can straight away kill all your wild passions and cruel intentions which were worse than animals. It is unfortunate you retain what is to be slain and slay. What is to be slain and slay, what is to be protected. Remember, the scriptures are man-made. Remember that scriptures are man-made. They are written by the sages with the best intentions in the interests of the society. Mostly they are symbolic in expressions. Sacrifice of animals does not mean killing of animals. It means killing of animal instinct and us. Lust and fear are the animal instincts. Lust and fear are the animal instincts. We are expected to sacrifice them to please gods and enjoy the space. Sacrifice of life means self-dedication. Self-dedication for a noble cause. Death is inevitable for anybody by dedicating oneself to great ideal. One is likely to die working for the cause, and that is what is meant by the sacrifice. Instead of understanding the spirit of the scriptures, you take their literal meaning and kill the poor animals. It is better to follow the spirit and not the letter of the sacred injunctions. By killing the lambs, you are incurring the double sin of the slaughter, incurring the double sin of the slaughter of animals and the disobedience of the spirituals. Neither the gods nor rishis ever approve of what you are doing in the name of the sacrifice. If you still persist in the perpetuating the sin of the killing animals, come on, I'm ready. Come on, I'm ready. I offer myself at the sacrificial altar. You may do anything with me. I may be killed in life. I may be killed in life of this small lamb. Please be kind. Please be kind enough to separate the dumb animal since I offer myself instead. Are you not able to see in the? Are you not able to see in it in the innocence of a baby? It is not life dear to it as it is to you. Are you not endowed with the hearts of the humanity? How is it that you are able to inhuman, although gifted with the human hearts? The priest listened to the Siddhartha's words and in rapt attention. They could not contradict him. They proceeded to the king and they told him about Siddhartha's concern for the poor creatures. Bimbisara met the Siddhartha and listened to him and felt convinced of the conviction of the kind heart. Immediately, therefore, the king requested to the priest to stop the animal sacrifice forthwith. He soon become an ardent followers of the Buddha and took to the path of love and kindness and non-violence and the service. The instinct trait of our hearts is that of the butter which melts at the very sight of the suffering, the burning pain. This inherent quality is the very core component of the humanism. Humanity responds to and remembers only humanism. All great leaders all over the globe are fully soaked in this all-embracing humanism. The other leaders who rise to heights by the terrorizing the people have only gone down in history and terrence. They who win the hearts of all with their endearing the kindness are not only the remembering forever but justified and gods by mankind. The other autocrats are hardly dictators without any concern for the people, and such leaders are not only hated but dubbed as demons. Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha and Kamsa and Kichaka belongs to this category. Kindness attracts, cruelty repels. Kindness attracts, cruelty repels. Love embraces, hatred expels. Actions are prompted by the kindness or for the welfare of the humanity, and those done due to the cruelty are ruinous to the people. In legend and history, in fantasy and the fiction, we find the heartless bosses coming to the tragic end in a violent death, be violated by the none, expect perhaps by those who are their close kith and kin. Society will only have a sigh of the relief when tyrant dies, and every great person or the god whom we remember or the worship invariably of a very kind hearted. The quality of kindness is not strained, nor can it be thrust upon any hurt. It is latent and flows spontaneously. It is inherent, and quality of spontaneous flow in is buried in the proportion to the thick walls built by our egoism. Instead of allowing the kindness to serve the needy, egoism withholds it and forces it to serve itself. The result is an egoist loves himself, not others, praises himself, not others, thinks of himself, not of others, earns for himself, not for others, services himself, not others. To extend egoism and selfishness are removed. The consent for others flows as service. Sometimes the floods of kindness is so forceful that it breaks all the walls of the egoism and rushes to the people in service, in suffering, to the console them and serve them. There are normally 6 walls erected by the egoism to bar the natural flow of the heart's kindness to the humanity. They are lust and greed, anger and envy, bodily attachment and haftness. Ravana and Duryodhana, Kamsa and Shatan, Vali and Molocho are demonic and so restricted their hearts now to themselves at the cost of humanity. Therefore, they are detested and never referred to into glorious terms in the literature of the humanity's love and admiration. On the other hand, people celebrate their deaths. Deepavali is the festival celebrate the death of Narakasura, a tyrant. Vijayadashami is a festival of celebrate the death of the Mahishasura of cruelty. The deaths of Muhammad bin Taghlaq and William II Rufus of England were celebrated by their subjects and the people. A dictator is detested, tyrant is heaped with curses. People rejoice in their deaths and defeats and downfall. Normally, we would like to known as the people of kindness, not of cruelty. People of kindness, not the cruelty. We want it to be identified as the people generosity. We want our photographs to be with loving smile. All our effort, therefore, is to conceal our hatred, miserliness, pride, haughtiness, and selfishness. If we cannot be spontaneously loving, kind, to conceal evil is hypocrisy. To overcome evil is righteous, and to be ever loving, loving is a virtue. Men of culture shun all the shades of hypocrisy. They are not only righteous but crowned with the virtues. Dharma is to be kind, foster kindness, and shine with kindness. Let not the latent kindness be confined to our selfish interest. Let it be allowed to grow beyond the body to love all, the service all, love to all, and body to love all, serve all. The audible expression of kindness is in the form of speech. Every word that crosses our lips should invariably pass through three gates according to the Islamic faith. At the very first gate, the moment the words move towards the mouth, there is a sentry with the question to test whether the words are true. Unless we are sure of the veracity of the statements, we are not expected to be the permitted at the first stage gate. The authenticity of the expression is to be ascertained before we venture to speak. It is better always to remain silent than tell a lie or make a false statement. If our words are cleared at the first check post, the second one is ready with the interrogation. Even if it is true, is it necessary to say it now? Is it beneficial to the listener? What is the utility of the statement? If the answer is in the affirmative and in positive terms, the gate opens on its heels and appears the third and the final shutter with the most important question: is your statement prompted by the kindness? Is it clothed in words of the curiosity, words of the courtesy and kindness? Is it processed through the unselfish kindness? And and is it modulated in the sweet and soft sounds of kindness? It is only when due attention is bestowed positively on this third aspect that we should speak. If not, it is better to remain mute. Similarly, in Christianity and Hinduism, we find kindness given top priority in the expression. Jesus is the very embodiment of the kindness. Harshness in speech is totally unknown to him. In the Gita, Sri Krishna exhorts us to speak only truth, that too when it is necessary and without causing any anxiety to anybody. He always full stress on the anudvega, anudvega karam vakyam satyam prayam hitam chayet. Words of love are endearing. Let us take care therefore to see that our words do not wound anybody. Besides being truthful and useful, let our expressions be kind. Every religion and culture does test and decide the quality of our speech on the anvil of kindness. Even message of happiness such as the windfall income, if not properly conveyed, may be death blow, contrary to the best of the speaker's intentions. The recipient may die unable to contain the flood of the happy tidings. On the contrary, even a death message can be conveyed in very soft manner. Not at all the upsetting receivers of the news. Blessed are they who have the kindest heart and the art of the courteous speech, for they are sure to win all the human hearts. Sharma. Sharma was a householder. He lived with his wife and children happily in a village. One day, he received a letter informing him about arrival of his friend from the town in the next day. He was happy and wanted to arrange special food for the guest. Therefore, he asked the milkmaid to bring a special cup of curd exclusively meant to be served to the guest. The guest arrived and the milkmaid brought the curd as instructed. On her way, when she was bringing on her head the feb containing the various cups of the curd, the leaf covering them was blown off by the wind. Curd cups lay bare exposed to the sky. Above there was an eagle flying. In its class was caught by a cobra. And the reptile unable to put up with the pain, reptile, and vomiting a few drops of the poison. In its class was caught by the cobra and reptile unable to put up with the pain, vomiting a few drops of the poison. Accidentally, the venom fell into the cup of meat for the guest. Nobody was aware of it. The guest was served with the poisoned curd and the poor man died of the poisoning. Therefore, Yama, the lord of the death, decided to punish the person who poisoned the victims of the food. But the pity was he was unable to identify the murderer. He sent therefore the two of his messengers to arrest those who were suspected to be the culprits. In the street corner, two men were attacking Sharma's house. The first one said, I am sure Sharma killed his guest to avoid the repayment of the money he had borrowed a long ago from him. The other one said, no, Sharma's wife killed the man, and since he was her lover before her marriage, and that it might have made unknown to the husband now. Yama ordered his messengers to bring those two scandals mongers to hell. They were burned in the fires of hell and for speaking what was untrue, spreading the rumors of the speaking ill of others without knowing the truth of the unbecoming of anybody. Even if we know the truth, if it is unpleasant and unnecessary to utter, better it is to keep quiet. Better it is to be quiet. Kishore and Kumar were brothers. Kishore was in the 9th standard, Kumar in the 8th standard. One day during the interval, Kumar saw a Kishore with cigarette packet, matchbox, and packet of chewing tobacco. Kumar was curious about them. He thought that his elder brother was using them. He himself was tempted and wanted to taste them once. Therefore, he asked Kishore how it would be if cigarette was smoked. Repeatedly, he requested him to spare one so that he too could puff. Kishore was not only angry with his younger brother's weakness, but finally refused to comply with this request. Kumar wanted to chew the tobacco at least in the life of the bubble gum for a change. Even that was not granted by the Kishore. Kumar was disappointed. Both of them parted to go to their respective classes. Kishore went to the staff room and before going to the class and handed over the 2 packets and the matchbox to Mr. Jagadish, his class teacher, who had asked him to buy and bring them from the shop and during the interval. In the evening, Kumar went to father at home and slowly drew close to the complaint against his elder brother. He said, "Pa, nowadays brother Kishore is not studying well. He is taking wrong ways. His habits are becoming bad. Today I saw him smoking. He is also chewing tobacco. I pleaded with him not to develop bad habits. I told him that smoking is injurious to health and tobacco causes cancer. He did not care for my advice. He only laughed at me and continued to smoke and chew. Thus, for your information, please ask him when he comes for a heaven's sake, don't tell him that I have reported these two matters. He will be angry with me. He may even beat me." Father grew angry and called out for the Kishore, who was in the reading room doing the homework. As soon as he heard the father's wild voice, he rushed to him, finding the tone to be harsh. Mother too left the kitchen and arrived to the scene to see what was wrong. Meanwhile, Kumar slowly slipped away from the stage, having lit the fire. Father was frowning. Looking at Kishore, he poured forth his burning herring with the fumes of anger. "Fellow, I sent you to school for studying, not for smoking. You are expected to be educated, not addicted to vices. Now itself, if you smoke, you will soon drink and then take the drugs. See, in all my life, I have never touched the cigarette nor even the snuff and powder made of the tobacco. The World Health Organization, in its efforts and to educate the people about the evils of tobacco, declared 31st May as No Tobacco Day. I thought, I thought you would take good advice and take after me. Take after me, fellow. You are pampered greatly by your mother. If I come across to anything ill about you again, I shall put you in the field of the agriculture. No more schooling for you. Beware." Before he grew wild and mother interfered and the heat for the time being subsided. Next day, the father went to the school and told the class teacher about the Kishore's bad habit. He wanted to the teacher to take the appropriate steps to set the right way. The teacher was able to understand the problem and instead of calling Kishore, he sent for Kumar. The real culprit, with the stick in hand, but a gentle smile on the lips, and he asked the younger brother to speak the truth. The father was not able to understand why the Kumar was being cross-examined. Ultimately, after the inquiry, it was Kumar that was punished, not the Kishore. The punishment was meted out of his for making false accusation unnecessarily with the cruel intentions. The accusation was untrue, unnecessary, and unkind. Later, the teacher himself resolved never to smoke, and because all the troubles were due to him. He gave up the bad habits because he felt that he had no right to punish the erring boys if he was himself not right. He decided to teach more by examples than by the precept. A speaker of the truth is better than the one who asks other to speak truth. He was does not tell lie teachers speak truth. He was does not tell the lie teachers better than one who delivers the more moral lectures on the evils of lying. A kind-hearted person is the better than one who merely preaches the kindness in high-sounding oration. And an ounce of practice is better than the tons of the tall talk. Kindness is a positive virtue. It is not right to call it is kindness when the person is shade less in the degree of the cruelty. In Bilaspur, there was once upon a time an automatic king. He was known for his greediness, cruelty, and taxation. He levied all the types of the taxes such as the house tax, property tax, sales tax, income tax, temple tax, worship tax, innumerable other taxes such as hair tax, bath tax, drinking water tax. For every glass of water man drank, tax was to be paid the king. People were angry with the king, unable to pay the taxes. They could not pay, nor could they revolt. They only prayed for his early death. The king was no doubt aware of their sufferings and crushes. As a result of their prayers, the greedy king fell sick and was on the deathbed. By his side was his only son. The old king expressed his last wish. My child, wish my child, to keep you in riches. I have acquired a lot of wealth and squeezing money from the people through taxes. I know all the people have been crushing me all these years. My time is to die and close by. I have only one request to make. You must try to fulfill my parting wish. I want to be known among the people as good man as at least after my death. After all, After all, it is for you that I have earned all this wealth. So saying, he died. Now the son was in dilemma. Should he fulfill his father's wish or not? If he chose to do his bidding, how was he to earn a good name for the cruel father? He decided to fulfill his father's wish, and to fulfill his father's wish, should he be cruel or kind? He chose to be more cruel than his father so that he would shine as good as man by contrast. Therefore, immediately after his father's death, he proclaimed additional taxes such as birth tax, death tax, life tax. Too, everybody for living should pay the tax every month. If anybody committed suicide, unable to pay the tax, his dependents or heirs should pay the death tax. If the dead person's body was not claimed by anybody, the voluntarily organizations or individuals that came forward bury or cremate the body should have to pay the tax. Somebody or other would certainly dispose of the body, for it is a health hazard. Whoever thus disposed of its was taxed. People soon began to admire the dead king, for he did not tax people so cruelly. They praised him not because he was kind, but because of he was a less cruel. He was a loss cruel. Unfortunately, now in the society, kindness is being measured in the negative directions. Kindness is measured in the negative direction. He who demands the less dowry, less bribe, or less tax is considered to be kind. For he is less cruel than those who loot, kill, or demand bribes for the not doing harm. He is considered to be kind who does the favor at least after receiving the bribe. They are considered to be kind who leave us alone without harming us. It is time the direction was made positive. Kindness is an inborn trait to be fostered positively without ever seeking any reward for the help and the service rendered. Taxation is essential for any government to carry on the administration and service activities for the welfare of this people. But taxes should be collected in such a way that nobody ever feels the strain of payment. As sun collects the water from the sea through vapors, only to pour back as rain in the needy places. Government should collect the money without any strain through the taxes and spend it for the society good. Then the people will not grudge it. Taxation, there will be no corruption if the taxation is prompted by the inherent love to the service the society. There will be no adverse reaction. Sometimes even culling may be prompted by the kindness. Words of kindness born of reality are made painful than deeds of cruelty. Prompted by kindness. Kindness within the heart is likely to be stifled. When our thoughts, words, and deeds are harsh, it is indeed suicidal to be cruel. In every field of activity, kindness plays a prominent role. Managers and administrators will be crowned with success if they are kind in words. Colleagues and subordinates and the superiors will be happy to extend all the cooperation to a kind-hearted official. What cannot be achieved by threats and punishments can be easily won if only we kind at heart, loving in words and helpful in actions. Any number of rules and regulations cannot enforce the wholehearted cooperation and involvement in the proposed activity. It is only through the love that we can win everybody's help and service. What power did Mahatma Gandhi have except kind-hearted is to lead to the so many freedom fighters in the independence struggle. When he died, everybody was shocked and people wept through their close kith was dead. Jesus and Buddha are endearing on account of their kindness. Sri Rama and Swami Vivekananda and a host of gods and sages are endearing even today, mostly because of their kindness. Concern for the others is a common trait in all of us. We cannot but feel sorry for the people in distress. Though often we may not rush to go to the everybody's help. Only few of full-grown heart live for the welfare of the others. The vast majority find the seed of their hearts, kindness sprouting only up to a mild, silent and transient sigh of the sympathy. However, the very fact that there is a hidden concern for others, irrespective of its intensity in expressions and in an is an indication clear enough to reveal oneness of us. It is only because we all belong to the cosmic body that we are sorry when any part of this large body wounded or pained. Closeness intensifies the concern and distance deities dilutes it, but it is never totally absent. If there is a wound on my hand, I feel the pain and I rush to the doctor to get the cured. Similarly, if a member of any family is wounded, though I don't feel the physical pain, I do feel the concern about it and take him to the hospital for the treatment. The same hungry and concern may not be in full. When a person in a far away the place is reported to be in distress, proximity enhances the intensity of the concern kindness. The farther and the event in time and place, the less it is import and our hearts in rousing the latent kindness to be symbolizes and service. In the Mahabharata war, or in the Second World War, several people died. Hmm? When we read about the tragedy, we do feel sorry about it, but the impact is many times more when we come into know about the tragic end of the few people in the nearby road accident. Irrespective of the intensity of the impact and the consequent reaction, it is a fact that the feeling of the kindness does the feeling of kindness sorry the feeling of kindness does exist in all of us. Feeling of kindness is exist in all of us. This kindness is the invisible thread. Kindness is the invisible thread passing through all and binding us all in one community of begins human beings. As we evolve, this feeling becomes more and more sensitive and expands infinitely with the highest intensity to everyone in the creation. The evolved persons of suffering is the suffering of the people in general. When Gandhi fasted, everybody felt in the pain. When the lamb was limping, Buddha felt the pain. Jesus shed the blood of the human suffering. Same is also the case of with the happiness. We feel happy when we people are happy. A man, a man of the fine sensitivity feels the sorrows and happiness of the others. Normally, the suffering of innocent children, evolved adults are immediately attended to it. We cannot bear to see them suffer. Buddha and Jesus cannot be bear to see the anyone suffer. The latent, the latent kindness reveals itself in the various forms of depending upon the occasion and the disposition. Grace and mercy, clemency and compassion, grace and mercy, clemency and compassion, charity and amity, generosity and magnanimity, benevolence and forbearance, patience and pathos, sympathy and empathy, gentleness and agreeableness, affection and etiquette, concern and courtesy, pleasing behavior and loving care, cheers and service, self sacrifice, self dedication are all born in the fundamental quality, humanity, kindness. Every one of them is indicative. Every one of them is indicative with the particular disposition and the dimensions of kindness. Each has a special significance and implication of its own. it is grace when kindness has grown to its full to be divine, and when it is showers blessings and favors, gifts and virtues, opportunities and protective protection, even when we do not pray for them. Facilities are provided to us through the nature by divine grace even before we are born. There is always divine force and graceful abundantly available into all. Always, and at all the pleasures in so many ways and forms. Without them, we cannot survive or the progress, since so much good is done to all by God through His grace, even without our asking for it. God is described Avyaja, Avyaja Karunamurti, compassionate for no cause, gracious for the sake of the grace. God and grace are one and the same, as the sun and his light are like. There is none who does not receive divine graces. As the sun's light is available to all, God grace is available to all. If we are what we are today, it is because of the divine grace. God is the giver of delight, generator of destiny. He has granted us all the opportunities to evolve on the right lines. In His creation, everything is for our good. His grace grants us even goodhood. It is by His grace that our inherent kindness blossoms as grace. Mercy. Mercy, it is when deterrent punishments and or reduces or mitigated to be corrective opportunities due to the emergent forces of the kindness from within the heart. Even when law and justice demand the enforcement of the particular punishment, the merciful judge may mitigate it is in proportion to the forceful upsurge of kindness. Mercy to like grace is never an expectation. Any reward or the recognition. Like mercy, clemency, and compassion. Mercy, clemency, and compassion are close to divine grace. Everyone at one time or the other will have the opportunity to be placed in the position of the shower compassion, clemency, or mercy. To miss the opportunity is to obstruct the upsurge of the kindness. We have occasions when we can merciful towards the subhuman species, people lowerly placed, and children. Everybody at one time or the other is to sure to be blessed with an opportunity to manifest the innate kindness and mercy and clemency. People accustomed to showering their kindness and will readily avail themselves of those opportunities. Others may miss them. Shylock in Merchant of Venice. Was blessed with the opportunity to show mercy. In spite of his villainy, it is by divine the grace that he was offered an occasion to regret and repent, and thereby rise to be divine. It was unfortunate he refused to avail himself the opportunity. Everybody, even an evil mindset person, is generously provided with opportunities to unfold divinity. All natural laws and punishments such as old age, disease, and death. Old age, disease, and death are meant only the discipline us, improve us, soften us, so that the latent kindness grows to blossoms in full and divine and compassion by offering the alms, clothes, accommodation, opportunity to live, by speaking words of the sympathy, appreciation, and encouragement, by gestures of the help, support. We foster the hidden kindness to its fullest expression. The seeker begs for the help only after killing his self-respect. To cringe before somebody for the alms is indeed suicidal. It is meant to beg, but it is to manner to any help when it is the sought. The beggar kills his self-respect before begging, but he who refuses to help when it is begged for kills the very humanness in him. If it is bad and ignoble to beg, it is worse and more ignoble to deny help. It is divine and human as well as to extend love and help even before the supplication is made. Abstract the qualities such as the goodness, kindness, compassion do need tangible expression to make their existence and impact felt. Charity is the perceptible expression of the invisible kindness. The more we are kind, the more the herd expand. Proportionality, we gain the liberal understanding, generosity, and magnanimity, or its outcome. Often, money and mercy do not live together. Money and mercy do not live together. The moneyed man may not be kind. The moneyed man may not be kind. The kind-hearted may not have the money to serve. Only a rare few outgrowing attachment to the wealth, to be generous in giving. Due to the kindness, it is because of the kindness that Gandhi gave up the lucrative profession. The creative profession become a freedom fighter. It was again because of the kindness that Mahavir became the greatest Jain. Buddha kindness made him the very embodiment of the mercy. Jesus is now an ocean of the compassion. And God is love and ultimately full of grace. God is love and it is because of this basic trait. He manifests in an incarnation to redeem the righteous and the protect of the pious. The mother held in the highest esteem account of her kindness. Posterity remembers the moments of the mercy, lives in the great. Sri Rama with his Vanarasena. Vanarasena was busy with construction with the bridge across the sea, while the warriors were carrying heavy stones for the purpose. There was a tiny squirrels doing its bit of the contribution. It would have the dip in the water and roll its wet body in the sands. The sticking granules would deaden if they dropped amidst of the stones. Incidentally, the small animal was thus carrying and adding the sand to the bridge unnoticed by anybody. Accidentally, one of the warriors tread upon it and the creature cried in pain. Sri Rama was there nearby. His heart melted with pity. He took the poor thing into his hands and gently cursed. The loving touch has its healing impact. The 3 lines on the back of the squirrel are the imprint of the mercy shown by tender heart towards the tiny beings. In the whole of the Ramayana, this generous gesture of the Sri Rama is conspicuous for its display of the God's mercy and concern. The incident through the tripling is significant, for it reveals the divine trait of the compassion. Almost every event in the life of Sri Krishna is an expression of the divine compassion. Cowherds and cows are most dear to Sri Krishna, for they are innocent and devoted, requiring divine protection. The finest moments are those when he fondled them and fostered them with his living care. Feathers and peacocks adorn his crown, and a piece of the reed is raised as a flute to receive his nectar of love, which becomes of the musical instrument to spread the Lord's love unto all. Cows are his constant companions. In Mathura, it is the crooked body of Trivakra that has drawn in the Sri Krishna's affectionate attention. She was the recipient of the Lord's healing of the touch, and she was cured of her ugliness and worldliness. The Lord looks or the compassionate towards the kind of the actions and be benevolent. In the recent times, we have Sri Ramakrishna, the very embodiment of love and compassion. Once he was on pilgrimage with Madhuranath Vishwas, a rich gentleman on the way village. Sri Ramakrishna saw a rural folk suffering for want of food, care and attention. He therefore immediately wanted them to be fed. When the accompanying the benefactor regardless want resources to feed them all, Sri Ramakrishna offered to cancel the pilgrimage in favor of their service. It is better to serve the poor than pursue the pilgrimage. Service to humanity is verily when the worship of the God. Swami Vivekananda bought a piece of land for the constructing the monastery in Calcutta. Suddenly there was an outbreak of the plague. The monk was moved with the pity. The service to the needy and money was needed. Therefore he proposed to sell the land and mean for the monastery. Service to the mankind was his top priority. Blessed are they who are endowed with a loving heart, which flows in service to the poor and the needy. Kindness and kindness and the acts of the kindness are ever re-embraced by the recipients with the due to the gratefulness. It is inhuman to ungrateful to those who are kind towards us. Only they in whom the milk of the kindness is frozen will fail to acknowledge to the help of done them. Irrespective of the recognition or reward in the return, kindness flows in plenty if only the barriers are removed in its way. However, however the flood is heavy, all barriers gets washed away. Blessed are they whose hearts have the flood of the kindness of all. The Buddha and the Jesus are the persons whose hearts are even full with the kindness of all. The philosophy of the Buddha or Jesus may not be known to all, but their acts of kindness are ever remembered by all. Adi Shankara is a great Advaitan. His philosophy of the pure reason, transcend of all the sentiments, attachments, and feelings, and rationalism as it is highest, is philosophical flaws. His thought and logic are not so well understood and the remembering by the people as his kindness and the acts of the kindness are. Once a Brahmacharin. He was in front of housekeeping arms. The housewife was unable to offer him anything due to the dire pure poverty. The only edible available in the house was alone dry fruits. She, with hesitation and embracing, offered the same. The holy person to the door, and she was herself the kind-hearted woman, and did the want brahmachari to go to the empty-handed. She gave what could give with love. Shankara felt sorry for her plight. His heart melted with the kindness for the lady in distress and poverty. On the spur of the moment, he invoked the blessings of Lakshmi and the goddess of the property and prayer to the famous Kanakadara Stavam, by singing which people are believing the becoming prosperous. The beautiful hymn in the outcome of the Shankara's kindness for the people in the poverty. The Ramayana is outcome of the sage of Valmiki's kindness for of the bird. One day when the sage was on his way to ashramam, he found the two birds happily playing with love and for each other. A hunter from the nearby bush aimed his arrow at one and Lord and killed with his sharp weapon. The sage saw the scene of the birds fall with the anguish, his kindness for the birds and become the flood of the grief. He was therefore angry with the hunter, and the next moment his feelings searched with the kindness for the birds of the flood and expression for the concern, which is but the very first stanza of the Ramayana. Mahatma Gandhi's concern for those who are treated like slaves for the corners of the stone for the great independence struggle. Among the various incidents are the prompted by his kindness, we find some very conspicuousness through the apparently trifling. One day, Gandhiji went to a river and drink water. A few meters away, there was a woman washing her torn clothes, herself sparishly covered in rage. When Gandhiji was seen this a distance and she struggled to cover herself, prompted by the feminine shyness. But she could not succeed in her attempts, and since the cloth was not only small but full of the gaping holes, Gandhiji was removed with kindness of seeing her predicament. Immediately he removed the large turbine and dropped it in water which was flowing in her direction. Without wounding her self-respect, he helped her out of the kindness for the humanity. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was an architect of the free India. He worked hard to make our country prosperous till the late in the night. He would sit in his office dictating the letters to the stenographer. The letters were all too typed and kept ready to his signature the next morning. One night, one stenotypist, after doing the job, fell asleep in the office itself, and in the adjoining room was Nehru. Seeing the man asleep, Nehru brought a blanket from his own room and covered him with it, protecting him to the biting cold, and it was the human touch and radiated to him all the stuff. Even in our own lives and moments of the kindness shows us are by us the most telling. They only leave the lasting marks, but for the kindness we have nothing worthy of the calling as a human. It is human. It is not enough in one kind. The kindness to be shown with intelligence. Sri Krishna Devaraya was a great king during the time. There was a jester poet called the Tenali Ramakrishna. One day the king had a desire to see the kind-hearted fool, and immediately asked Tenali Rama to bring one of before sunset. The poet proceeded to search for the required of the fool and generous heart. After a long and tedious search, he found a man on a tank bund. He went close to him and known what he was doing. Strangely, the man was very seriously engaged in collecting the fish and into his pomp, and with all care of leaving them on the bank. The poet asked him to explain the purpose of for which the fish were being placed on the ground and with such care. The man replied, "Sir, poor creatures, they are drowning in water. I want to save them." What happens if we fall in water? Same in this case of with them. We are struggling for air and seek somebody's help to come out. So I want to save them from drowning. Tenali Rama smiled and took him to the king of as the specimen of the kind-hearted of the foolishness. Kindness shines more when it is coupled with intelligence. It is property of mind, and when it is equipped with the kindness of the intelligence to serve the needy in the right way. This is what about the kindness. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani paschyantu, ma kaschid dukh bhag bhavet. Hari Om.